A single text lights up Sarah's phone, shattering her perfect life. Check this link, it reads. Her heart races as a video reveals her darkest secret, exposed for the world to see. How to get out? And who sent it to her husband, Mike? A gripping tale of betrayal, revenge, and redemption unfolds in a quiet American suburb, where one mistake spirals into a public scandal. But justice is coming. Sarah sprinted through the Atlanta rain, her sneakers splashing against the sidewalk as she clutched a stack of flyers for the community food drive. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, but she ignored it, focused on taping the last poster to a lamppost outside the local library. The event was her idea, a way to unite neighbors, and it had earned her quiet respect in the suburb she and Mike called home. She checked her watch, 6:15 p.m. Mike would be finishing baseball practice with the kids soon. She smiled, picturing him tossing a ball to a shy third grader, his laughter cutting through the evening air. At home, Sarah kicked off her wet shoes and dropped the leftover flyers on the kitchen counter. Mike wasn't back yet. The house was silent except for the faint hum of the fridge. She pulled out her phone to text him, but a new message caught her eye. Ryan, her new co-worker, had sent a link to a marketing campaign draft. Thoughts, he wrote, followed by a winking emoji. Sarah hesitated, her thumb hovering over the screen. Ryan's messages always carried a spark, something playful that made her pulse quicken. She typed a quick reply. Looks solid. Let's tweak the headline tomorrow, and set the phone down, ignoring the faint thrill his words stirred. Mike arrived 20 minutes later, his coaching bag slung over his shoulder. Food drive shaping up? He asked, grabbing a water bottle from the fridge. Sarah nodded, detailing the volunteers she'd rallied. He listened, but his eyes drifted to his phone, scrolling through emails about lesson plans. Sarah's voice faltered mid-sentence. She noticed the distance again, the way their talks had become checklists, bills, schedules, errands. She missed the nights they'd stay up late, laughing over nothing, his hand brushing hers. Now, their evenings felt like parallel lines, close but never touching. The next morning, Sarah arrived at her marketing firm downtown, her inbox already piling up. She loved the buzz of the office, phones ringing, colleagues debating ad copy, the smell of fresh coffee. During a team meeting, Ryan leaned over, whispering a joke about their boss's obsession with deadlines. Sarah stifled a laugh, catching his glance. His confidence was magnetic, his attention sharp in a way that made her feel seen. Nice save on that client pitch yesterday, he said later, passing her desk. You're sharper than half this team. Sarah brushed it off with a smile, but his words lingered, warming her through the day. By lunch, they were swapping ideas over sandwiches in the break room. Ryan shared stories of his past projects, his voice steady, eyes locked on hers. He noticed her new bracelet, a small gift from Mike last Christmas, and commented on how it caught the light. Sarah blushed and used his such attention. Mike hadn't mentioned her appearance in months. The conversation shifted to personal dreams. Sarah admitted she wanted to start her own nonprofit someday. Ryan nodded, his gaze intense. You'd be unstoppable, he said. The air between them crackled, and Sarah looked away, heart racing. That evening, Mike was late again, stuck grading essays. Sarah sat alone on the couch, scrolling through Ryan's messages. He'd sent a meme about office life, then a follow-up. You free for coffee tomorrow? Got an idea for the campaign. She typed sure before she could overthink it. The next day, they met at a cafe near the office. Ryan's charm was effortless. He teased her about her coffee order, shared a quick story about his weekend hiking trip, and pitched a bold ad concept. Sarah felt alive, her laughter louder than it had been in weeks. They lingered longer than planned, the conversation drifting from work to life, his questions pulling her in. Back home, Mike was in the kitchen, reheating leftovers. Long day? He asked, not looking up. Sarah nodded, mentioning the campaign, but not Ryan. Guilt flickered. She hadn't crossed any line, but the thrill of Ryan's attention felt like a secret. She joined Mike at the table, forcing a smile as he talked about a student's breakthrough in class. His passion was there, but it was for his work, not her. She excused herself early, claiming a headache, and lay awake, replaying Ryan's words, his gaze, the way he made her feel noticed. Over the next week, Sarah and Ryan's chats grew frequent. Work emails turned into late-night texts, each one bolder. You're too good for this place, he wrote one night. Ever think about breaking free? Sarah stared at the screen, her thumb tracing the edge of her phone. She typed, deleted, then typed again. Maybe, you offering to lead the way? His reply came instantly. Say the word. Her breath caught. She knew where this was heading, knew it was dangerous, but the pull was stronger than her resolve. On Friday, Ryan caught her in the hallway, his voice low. I'm grabbing lunch at my place today. It's 5 minutes from here. Join me. His tone was casual, but his eyes held a challenge. Sarah's mind raced. Mike, her marriage, the life she'd built. But the loneliness, the craving for connection, drowned out the warnings. She nodded, barely audible. Okay. Ryan's smile was quick, knowing. At noon, she told a coworker she had an errand and walked the short distance to his loft. Her heart pounded with every step, a mix of dread and anticipation. Ryan opened the door, his ease disarming. The space was simple, functional, a couch, a coffee table, soft music playing. He offered her a drink, his movements deliberate. We got an hour, he said, stepping closer. Sarah's resolve crumbled. She didn't speak, didn't resist, letting the moment sweep her away. It was fast, intense, and over before she could process it. Ryan stepped back, his expression unreadable. Better get back, he said, already reaching for his keys. Sarah adjusted her jacket, nodded, and left, her mind a blur of guilt and adrenaline. She walked back to the office, her steps steady despite the chaos in her chest. No one glanced twice as she slid into her chair, opened her laptop, and answered emails. She deleted Ryan's texts, blocked his number, and swore it would never happen again. It was a mistake, a lapse, nothing more. She could bury it, move on, keep her life intact. Mike would never know. The secret felt heavy but containable, a single misstep she'd never repeat. She focused on work, forcing normalcy, convinced the moment was already fading into silence. Sarah sat at her desk, the hum of the office barely registering. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, drafting an email, but her mind replayed the hour at Ryan's loft. She shook it off, focusing on the screen, determined to lock that moment away. Her phone buzzed, a text from Mike. Dinner tonight? Italian place, 7? She typed a quick yes, relief washing over her. Normalcy was within reach. She could rebuild, refocus, keep her marriage intact. Ryan passed her desk, his glance fleeting but pointed. She avoided his eyes, clicking send on her email. That evening, Sarah met Mike at their favorite restaurant. He was already there, scrolling through his phone, a glass of red wine in front of him. She slid into the booth, forcing a smile. Good day, she asked. Mike nodded, mentioning a student's funny essay. His tone was warm, but his attention drifted back to his screen. Sarah sipped her water, the guilt from her lapse with Ryan twisting in her gut. She steered the conversation to the food drive, detailing new sponsors. Mike listened, but his responses were short, distracted. She pushed down the ache, promising herself she'd make things right. At work the next day, Sarah threw herself into tasks, avoiding Ryan. He didn't approach, but his presence lingered, a quick nod in the hallway, a message in the team chat. She ignored it, deleting his texts without reading them. During lunch, her coworker Lisa pulled her aside. Heard anything weird about Ryan? Lisa whispered, glancing around. Sarah froze, her pulse spiking. Weird how? She asked, keeping her voice steady. Lisa leaned closer. Some women from his last job, they say he's got a reputation. Charming, but trouble. Sarah nodded, feigning disinterest, but her stomach churned. Had others been to his loft? She excused herself, heart racing, and returned to her desk. That night, Mike was late again, stuck at a parent-teacher meeting. Sarah sat alone, scrolling through her phone, the warning about Ryan echoing. She searched his name online, finding nothing but a sparse LinkedIn profile. No red flags, no answers. She closed the app, telling herself it didn't matter. She was done with him. But doubt crept in. What if someone knew? What if Ryan talked? She shook her head, focusing on Mike's return. He walked in, tired but smiling, and suggested a movie. Sarah agreed, curling up beside him, craving the comfort of routine. Over the next week, Sarah doubled her efforts at home. She cooked Mike's favorite chili, planned a weekend hike, and texted him small updates during the day. He responded warmly, even surprising her with flowers one evening. Just felt like it, he said, kissing her forehead. Sarah's guilt eased slightly. She was rebuilding, proving her commitment. But at work, Ryan's presence was harder to dodge. He joined her project team, his contributions sharp, his demeanor professional, yet laced with subtle glances. During a meeting, he slid a note her way. "Miss our talks." Sarah crumpled it, her jaw tightening, and left the room early. Late that night, unable to sleep, Sarah scrolled through old messages from Mike, searching for the spark they'd once had. She found photos from their first year together, laughing at a county fair, dancing at a friend's wedding. Her chest ached. She wanted that version of him back. The next morning, she suggested a getaway to Savannah, just the two of them. Mike's eyes lit up. "Let's do it," he said, pulling her into a hug. For the first time in weeks, Sarah felt hope. She could bury her mistake, make it irrelevant. But at the office, tension grew. Lisa mentioned Ryan again, this time with details. A friend from his old firm said he got too close with a married colleague. She left the company after some drama. Sarah's throat tightened. "Sounds messy," she managed, changing the subject. Later, Ryan caught her alone by the copier. "You're avoiding me," he said, his tone light but edged. Sarah met his gaze. "I'm married. Let's keep it professional." He smirked, unfazed. "Your call," he said, walking away. Her hands shook as she grabbed her copies and returned to her desk. The Savannah trip was a success. Mike and Sarah strolled through historic squares, shared ice cream, and talked for hours. Mike opened up about his stress at work, and Sarah listened, feeling closer to him than she had in months. She didn't mention Ryan, didn't let herself think of him. Back home, she kept up the momentum, planning game nights with friends, volunteering more for the food drive. Mike noticed his affection returning in small ways. A hand on her back, a morning coffee left on the counter. Sarah began to believe her secret was safe, a one-time error she'd outrun. Then, during a quiet lunch break, her phone pinged. An email from an unknown address, no subject. She opened it, her breath catching. A single link stared back at her. She clicked it, and a video loaded, grainy at first, then painfully clear. It was her in Ryan's loft, every moment captured. Her heart stopped. The email had no text, no sender name, but it was addressed to her personal account. She slammed her phone face down, her hands trembling. Who sent it? Ryan? Someone else? She scanned the office, half expecting eyes on her, but no one looked up. She deleted the email, her mind racing. This wasn't over. That evening, Sarah sat across from Mike at dinner, barely touching her food. He talked about his students, oblivious to her silence. She nodded, forcing smiles, but the video played in her mind. She checked her phone obsessively, dreading another message. None came. She told herself it was a scare, a one-off. Maybe Ryan was bluffing, testing her. She wouldn't engage, wouldn't give him power. But as she lay awake that night, Mike snoring softly beside her, fear settled in. Someone knew. And if they knew, they could tell Mike. Her perfect life, the one she was fighting to hold on to, was starting to crack. Sarah's phone stayed silent for days, but the fear didn't fade. She checked her email obsessively, each notification spiking her pulse. At work, she avoided Ryan, keeping her head down during meetings, her responses clipped. He acted unbothered, his contributions in team huddles as sharp as ever, but his occasional glances carried a weight she couldn't ignore. She wanted to confront him about the video, demand answers, but the risk of exposing herself kept her quiet. Instead, she focused on routine, emails, food drive logistics, anything to anchor her. Mike noticed her tension. "You okay?" he asked one morning, pouring coffee. Sarah nodded, blaming work stress, and kissed him quickly before leaving. His concern lingered in her mind, a reminder of what she stood to lose. At the office, she confided in Lisa during a coffee run. "What else do you know about Ryan?" she asked, stirring her latte, her voice low. Lisa frowned. "Just rumors. A woman at his last job quit after he got too close. No details, but it was bad." Sarah's stomach twisted. She pressed further, asking if anyone mentioned recordings. Lisa shook her head, puzzled. "Recordings? No. Why?" Sarah backtracked, claiming curiosity, but her unease grew. That afternoon, another email arrived from a different anonymous address. No text, just a link. Sarah's hands shook as she opened it in the bathroom, door locked. The video was the same, her in Ryan's loft, every second preserved. But this time, it was hosted on a different site, with comments below. Strangers mocked her, their words cutting. She closed the browser, deleted the email, and splashed water on her face. Someone was spreading this, and Ryan was the only link. She needed proof, not just suspicion. Sarah started digging. After work, she used a library computer to search Ryan's name, avoiding her own devices. She found an old forum post from his previous company city, mentioning a charmer who left women humiliated. No names, but the pattern fit. She saved screenshots, her resolve hardening. At home, she kept up appearances, laughing at Mike's stories, planning the food drive's final push. But late at night, she scoured social media, finding two women who'd worked with Ryan years ago. She messaged them anonymously, asking about his behavior. One replied, "He's dangerous. Meet me tomorrow." The next day, Sarah met Emily, a former colleague of Ryan's, at a quiet diner outside Atlanta. Emily's voice was steady but bitter. "He seduced me, recorded it, and threatened to leak it when I ended things," she said, sipping tea. "I paid him to delete it. He swore he did." Sarah's blood ran cold. "Did he record others?" she asked. Emily nodded. "At least who I know of. We never went public. Too ashamed." Sarah confessed her own encounter, leaving out the video's spread. Emily gave her a name, Rachel, another victim, now in Macon. Sarah thanked her, mind racing with possibilities. Back at the office, Sarah watched Ryan closely. He led a client call with ease, his charm disarming everyone but her. She noticed his phone, always angled away, locked with a code. If he was behind the emails, the evidence was there. During a break, she lingered near his desk, pretending to check a file. His phone buzzed unattended. She glanced around, heart pounding, and swiped it, typing a random code. It failed. She tried again, but footsteps approached. She dropped the phone and stepped away as Ryan returned, his eyes narrowing. "Looking for something?" he asked, voice smooth. Sarah mumbled an excuse and left, her face burning. That night, Mike planned a surprise dinner at home, candles flickering on the table. He talked about a promotion, his excitement genuine. Sarah smiled, but her mind was elsewhere. She excused herself to the bathroom, checking her email. Another link, this time sent to her work address. The video was now on multiple sites, views climbing. She gripped the sink, nausea rising. Someone wasn't just sharing it, they were targeting her. She returned to dinner, forcing herself to eat, but Mike's laughter felt distant, her secret a widening chasm. Sarah contacted Rachel, arranging a call. Rachel's story mirrored Emily's: seduction, recording, blackmail. "He keeps files in a cloud account," Rachel said. "I saw him access it once, but I never got the password." Sarah took notes, her plan forming. She needed to access Ryan's cloud, but confronting him directly was too risky. Instead, she reached out to a tech-savvy friend, Mark, who owed her a favor from the food drive. Over coffee, she explained, vague but urgent. "Can you trace anonymous emails?" she asked. Mark agreed to try, warning it could take days. The next morning, Sarah arrived at work early, spotting Ryan in a meeting room, his laptop open. She waited until he stepped out, then slipped in, heart racing. His screen was locked, but a sticky note on his desk had a string of numbers, possibly a password. She snapped a photo, then left before he returned. At her desk, she sent the numbers to Mark, who confirmed they might unlock a cloud account. He traced the latest email to a proxy server. Unhelpful, but a start. Sarah felt a spark of hope. She was closing in. But that evening, everything shattered. Mike sat at the kitchen table, his phone in hand, face pale. "Sarah," he said, voice flat. "What is this?" He turned the screen, and the video played, her, Ryan, undeniable. She froze, words failing. Mike stood, dropping the phone, and walked to the living room. "Who sent it?" she whispered, voice breaking. He shook his head. "Does it matter?" The silence that followed was deafening, her world unraveling in seconds. Sarah stood rooted in the kitchen, Mike's footsteps fading as he retreated upstairs. The phone on the table glowed with the paused video, its existence a wound she couldn't close. She wanted to run after him, explain, beg, but his silence held her back. She sank into a chair, hands trembling, and deleted the email from his inbox, knowing it was futile. The video was out there, spreading like wildfire. She opened her laptop, searching for the link. It appeared on 3 more sites, each with new comments, her name now attached. Her chest tightened. She was exposed, her life unraveling. The next morning, Mike left early without a word. Sarah called in sick, unable to face the office. She messaged Emily and Rachel, arranging a group chat. "It's out," she typed, her fingers shaking. "He sent it to my husband." Emily replied instantly. Same here. My ex got last night. Rachel confirmed her own partner had seen it. The women's anger fused into resolve. They needed to stop Ryan. Sarah shared the sticky notes numbers, hoping they'd unlock his cloud. Rachel suggested pooling their stories to build a case, but they needed evidence, not just accusations. Sarah met Mark at a park, away from prying eyes. He'd traced the latest email to a VPN, but the sticky notes numbers were a breakthrough. It's a partial key, he said, explaining it could access a cloud service if they found the right platform. Sarah handed him Ryan's old LinkedIn profile, hoping it held clues. Mark promised to dig deeper, warning her to stay cautious. If he's doing this, he's watching, he said. Sarah nodded, her paranoia spiking. She checked her phone's security, changed passwords, and disabled location tracking, feeling hunted. At home, Mike's absence was palpable. His clothes stayed in the closet, but his toothbrush was gone. Sarah left a note on the counter, "Please talk to me," but got no response. She drove to the community center, hoping to lose herself in food drive prep. Volunteers buzzed around, but whispers followed her. A neighbor averted her eyes. Another left abruptly. Word was spreading. Sarah's phone pinged. A coworker had seen the video, asking if she was okay. She didn't reply, her shame burning. She left early, unable to bear the scrutiny. Back online, Sarah found a private forum where women discussed Ryan. One, anonymously, described a similar video leak, her career ruined. Sarah messaged her, posing as a concerned friend. The woman, Laura, agreed to talk. Over a call, Laura revealed Ryan had blackmailed her for months, demanding money to keep the video private. "He's careful," she said. "Everything's encrypted." Sarah shared the partial key, and Laura suggested a specific cloud service Ryan favored. Sarah relayed this to Mark, who began testing the numbers against the platform. The next day, Sarah forced herself to work, avoiding Ryan's desk. He was absent, reportedly on a client trip. She used the chance to access the office server, searching for his project files. Hidden in a shared folder, she found an encrypted zip file labeled backup. Her heart raced. It could be the source. She copied it to a USB, hands sweating, and left before anyone noticed. At home, she sent the file to Mark, who warned it might take days to crack. "If this is his stash, it's a gold mine," he said. Sarah felt a flicker of control, but it was fleeting. Mike returned that evening, his face unreadable. He sat across from her, arms crossed. "I need space," he said, voice low. "I can't unsee it." Sarah's throat closed. She tried explaining Ryan's manipulation, her regret, but Mike cut her off. "I don't care why. You chose." He grabbed a bag, already packed, and left for a hotel. Sarah sat alone, tears falling, the weight of her mistake crushing her. Her phone buzzed, another link, this time sent to her boss. She ignored it, focusing on the fight ahead. Sarah, Emily, Rachel, and Laura met in person at a quiet cafe. They compared notes, their stories aligning. Ryan's charm, the recordings, the threats. Emily had contacted a lawyer, who advised filing a police report for non-consensual recording. Sarah hesitated. Going public meant more exposure, but agreed it was their only shot. They drafted a joint statement, detailing Ryan's pattern, and sent it to the Atlanta PD. Sarah included the USB's contents, hoping it held proof. The lawyer warned it could take weeks, but the women felt united, their shared pain fueling action. Mark called late that night. "I cracked the file," he said, voice tense. "It's videos, dozens. Not just you." Sarah's blood ran cold. He'd found footage of Emily, Rachel, Laura, and others, all unaware. The cloud account linked to Ryan's email, the sticky notes numbers part of his password. Sarah instructed Mark to save everything securely and send it to the lawyer. She barely slept, her mind torn between hope and dread. If the police acted, Ryan could face charges. But the videos were still spreading, her life still fracturing. The next morning, Sarah's boss called her in. The video had reached HR. "Take a leave," he said, not meeting her eyes. "We'll sort this out." Sarah nodded, humiliated but unsurprised. She left the office, her career in limbo. At home, she found a note from Mike. "I'm staying with my brother. Don't contact me." Her heart sank, but she pushed forward, checking in with the lawyer. The police had opened an investigation, using the USB evidence to track Ryan's digital footprint. Sarah clung to that progress, even as her world crumbled. Sarah woke to a text from the lawyer. Police have Ryan in custody. Her heart surged with fragile hope. She called Emily, who confirmed the news. Detectives had raided Ryan's apartment, seizing his devices. The encrypted files from the USB, combined with the women's statements, had built an airtight case. Ryan faced charges for non-consensual recording and distribution of private media. Sarah exhaled, relief mixing with dread. Justice was close, but the damage lingered. Her marriage, her job, her reputation, all fractured. She drove to the police station, joining Emily, Rachel, and Laura. The detective outlined the case. Ryan's cloud held videos of 7 women, all recorded without consent. His VPN had masked the email trails, but Mark's work exposed his digital fingerprints. The videos were being pulled from major sites, though copies persisted on obscure platforms. Sarah listened, her jaw tight, knowing every view deepened her exposure. The detective assured them Ryan's bail was denied. He'd stay locked up until trial. The women exchanged nods, their shared resolve a quiet strength. Back home, Sarah found a letter from Mike slipped under the door. "I'm filing for divorce," it read. "We can't fix this." Her hand shook as she folded it away. She wanted to call him, plead for a chance, but his words were final. Instead, she contacted a counselor recommended by Emily. In their first session, Sarah spoke haltingly about her guilt, the betrayal, the public shame. The counselor urged her to focus on rebuilding, not erasing the past. Sarah left with a list of support groups, her first step toward healing. At the community center, the food drive was in full swing, but Sarah's absence had sparked gossip. A volunteer coordinator called, asking her to step back to avoid distraction. Sarah agreed, the rejection stinging but expected. She packed her things and drove to Charlotte, where a friend offered spare room. The move was a clean break. No familiar faces, no whispers. She applied for freelance marketing gigs, landing a small contract with a local startup. The pay was modest, but it was a start, a way to reclaim her independence. The trial began 3 months later. Sarah testified, her voice steady despite the packed courtroom. Ryan sat stone-faced, his charm gone. The prosecution presented the videos, the cloud data, and the women's accounts. Emily's testimony about his blackmail attempts was damning. Rachel's detailed his manipulation. Laura revealed how he'd profited from selling clips. Sarah described the anonymous emails, the moment Mike saw the video. The jury deliberated for hours, then returned, guilty on all counts. Ryan faced 5 years in prison, with parole unlikely. Outside the courthouse, Sarah, Emily, Rachel, and Laura stood together, the weight of victory bittersweet. Reporters swarmed, but the women declined interviews, choosing privacy over publicity. Sarah drove back to Charlotte, her phone off to avoid notifications. The videos still surfaced online, but takedown notices were working. Mark had volunteered to monitor and report copies. Sarah thanked him with a coffee delivery, grateful for his quiet loyalty. She joined a support group for survivors of digital exploitation, meeting weekly in a community center. Sharing her story, she found others who understood the violation, the loss of control. One woman, a former teacher, inspired Sarah to volunteer again, this time with a women's shelter. She started small, organizing donation drives, her skills finding purpose. The work grounded her, a reminder she could still contribute, still build. Mike finalized the divorce through email exchanges, no lawyers needed. Sarah signed the papers, her signature shaky but resolute. She sent him a brief note. "I'm sorry. I wish you well." He didn't reply, but she didn't expect one. Months later, she heard through a mutual friend he'd started dating, his life moving forward. Sarah felt a pang, but no resentment. She'd lost him to her own choices, and acceptance was her only path. Sarah's freelance work grew, landing her a steady client. She rented a small apartment, her name off the lease to avoid recognition. Social media stayed deleted. She communicated through secure apps, wary of exposure. At night, she wrote in a journal, not dreams or regrets, but plans, courses to take, advocacy groups to join. She researched privacy laws, drafting letters to lawmakers about stronger protections. Her voice, once silenced by shame, began to carry weight. One evening, scrolling news on her laptop, Sarah saw a headline. New bill targets non-consensual media. Her lawyer had shared their case with legislators, sparking debate. Sarah smiled faintly, a spark of pride cutting through her scars. She wasn't whole, but she was moving. The videos, the stares, the loss, they'd shaped her, but they didn't define her. She closed the laptop, stepped onto her balcony, and breathed deeply. Tomorrow was unwritten, and for the first time, that felt enough.